Well, aside from mitigating the current infection, which means wearing a mask, washing your hands, etc., the way to really handle the coronavirus and to make sure you're in tip top shape, and this goes for older people as well, people that are in their 70s and 80s, is to exercise every day in some way. And number two, if you can meditate, even 10 minutes a day, to relax your brain. Remember, the brain controls the immune system. And if you're super stressed, you're going to get a horrible infection. You will recover from it in all likelihood, but you may wind up regretting that you were so stressed out. So that's important. Sexual relationships, intimacy, don't have to have sexual relationships, but if you do, if you can, great. It can be, homosexual or heterosexual, but nevertheless, there are certain hormones that are elicited within our bodies that really promote immune function. I'll just mention two of them: prolactin in women in particular, and in men, but less so in men, and the hormone oxytocin, which comes about from intimate relationships. And that those two neurohormones are very important to immune function. Now, we have communication molecules in our bodies called cytokines, that literally means cell communication. And we have chemokines that tell cells where to go. And most people don't know this, but in that complex police department, which in real life in New York City, for example, they use two-way radios to talk and say, somebody's been shot, I need help. Well, in your immune system, the chemokines and the cytokines are released immediately by your innate immune system, certain cells, T cells. And this tells your body that there's an invasion. And when the coronavirus comes in through your nasopharynx, in your nose and through your mouth, that happens. There's an alarm that goes out. And your immune system, not being familiar, will try to find the novel coronavirus in its library of criminals. And if the library of criminals doesn't include it, it sets up a new response. So that if you're re-challenged, your cells you're recognizing this. So what the vaccine does is it teaches your immune system that this criminal is not unique and new. You can be infected with the coronavirus ad nauseum. People say, oh, I got vaccinated and my test is positive. Well, that's okay. You got the virus residing in your nasopharynx. You can transmit it to somebody else if you're not wearing a mask or you're sloppy, but you're not going to get sick and die. You're not going to be on the respirator because your immune system's already familiar. It recognizes this virus. And that's cool. It's really cool. That's the only term that I can think of to say this is a cool way to have your own body respond imperceptibly, I might add, to your coronavirus. Now, one glitch there is that we all have what's called immunogenetics. We inherit how our systems work, like our hearts, our brains. We inherit how our lungs work from our forefathers, from our grandparents, from our great-grandparents, and so on. So if you're unlucky to have bad immunity through immunogenetics being not so great, that could be a problem. And that we usually find to be very rare, and yet it does exist out there. And for example, to give you an example of that would be a tennis player or some guy who's an athlete who gets the coronavirus and succumbs very quickly. And that's happened. We've seen these muscular guys who are in good health. They look like the picture of health. They get the coronavirus and 3 days later, they're on a respirator. And then 5 days later, they die. So you don't know. The biological soul is different in each individual. And it depends on a lot of factors. But in order to keep you healthy and to boost your immune system, exercise. And I don't mean marathon running or triathlon. I mean simply jogging, bicycling, getting on the elliptical for like 30 minutes every other day. You don't even have to do it daily. Get yourselves in tip-top shape. Lose weight. This coronavirus likes fat cells. We've known that. It's been published past week in the New York Times. Fat is a wonderful substrate for the virus. It likes to live in fat. It hides itself in the fat cells. So get thin, lose weight. If you never did before, now's the time to do it. Once this thing becomes endemic, we're going to see it every year. We're not going to see as many cases, but we're going to see it from now until the end of time.